discussing in the business studies. Okay, international trade, the same idea we are getting from the business studies. Now, international specialization. First, you need to understand that what is specialization. When you are going to produce something, and you have or you got a skills to produce that particular product, this will become in the end your specialization. If you talk about the Apple, so Apple has like Apple phone, that's become their specialization. Okay, although they will if you have a main product, like the product in which you are specialized, this product will considered as core product. Okay, and the other products you will produce other than your core product will be considered as your additional products. So what is the definition of the specialization? Like when a nation concentrate its productive efforts on producing a limited variety of the goods and services in which they are really efficient and productive at and have an advantage over other economies in. For example, due to the existence of vast oil and the gas reserves in the region, Middle Eastern countries concentrate their production on petroleum and have made a fortune of it. Okay, now what do you mean by absolute advantage? When one country can produce more efficiently than other, either by producing more of the good or the services, the same amount of the resources, or producing the same amount of the good or services with the fewer resources. For example, India has an absolute advantage in operating all call centers because of its abundant and the cheap labor force compared to Western countries. Okay, absolute advantages when you have a plenty of resources. Okay, and by utilizing these resources, if you are going to produce a product or if you are going to start a business according to or by using the resources, that will become the absolute advantage. Okay, like if you in Pakistan you have a very cheap labor, okay, at the moment, so you can start any business where you need more cheap people. This will become an absolute advantage from your cheap labor. Then comparative advantage, when one country can produce a good at a lower opportunity cost than other country, it takes into the account the opportunity cost incurred producing each good. For example, India may have an absolute advantage in operating call centers, but it has a lower opportunity cost in other industries than Philippines. Thus, the Philippines has in recent years seen a growing call center while India has seen its decline. Okay, comparative advantage, when this other country have a very similar kind of advantage you are taking. Like if the country, normally we said that China has a cheap labor, but when you will make a comparison with other countries, then you will decide that who is taking a better advantage. Okay, advantages and the disadvantages of the specialization. It's a very common sense that if you are specialized in the one product, you can produce it much better. It will create job creations, allows more international trades. Everyone will be more willing to trade with you because of your specialization in the particular product. Revenue to the government, it would be very easy for the government to sell it, their most absolute or the most core product in the international market and then the wider markets. If you have a specialized product or if you have a specialized kind of a service where you have particular kind of specialization, you can extend your markets. Like when you will go to at the international level, you have more shareholders and the more customers. What could be the disadvantages? Structural unemployment. If you will focus just on one product, like if you have, for example, if you talk about the India is specialized in IT, what would be what do you suggest about the people who belongs to the different industries? Okay, they will be unemployed because the major concern of the countries on to the one product. Okay, and what other people will do who have a different kind of specialization? They will be unemployed ultimately. Then over exploitation of the resources. If you are focusing on the one product, you will utilize more and more resources to produce that product. It's mean you are going to exploit these resources. Okay, then the threat of the foreign competition. If you don't have other product to fulfill your basic stuff, ultimately the foreign product will come into your country and they will spoil your local or the domestic market. risk of over specialization. You might get over specialized, and over specialization sometimes be faulty and can create so many blunders. Then globalization, as we already discussed, globalization is the process of interaction and integration among the people, companies, and the government, different nation, a process driven by the international trade and investment and aided by informational technology, known as multi corporations, MNC multi corporations, business that have their operation factories and assembly plants in more than one countries are known as multinational businesses. Okay, example includes Starbucks, okay, then Toyota, Adidas, etc. They are considered as are known as multinational companies. Why? Because they are operating in different countries. What are the advantages for the home country? They will, like, if Nike is operating in Pakistan, Nike is not a Pakistani brand. What ultimately advantages for the Pakistan? First, they will create more jobs. Is that so? Their participation will be in the economic growth. Favorable balance of the payment, like they have a major participation in the import and the export of the business. What would be the advantage of the host country where Nike belongs to? They will give more training and more exposure to their employees, because whenever they will come into the Pakistan, they have a different culture experience, they have a different kind of exposure, so they will give it to their customers, their employees. Then transfer of the skills and expertise, they will transfer it to those employees who are at their particular country. Then significant tax revenue, they will increase the tax revenue of the host country. Now, what are the disadvantages to the home country? Disadvantages of the home country, if they are operating in Pakistan, the disadvantages of the home country will be they will transfer their capital to that country, then may not create employment. It could be the reason that they are unable to create more and more jobs, because depends on the customers' demands of their product. Then disadvantage of the whole country, business may not be able to compete. Could it be? Then not act ethically or in socially responsible way. Like if you have a foreign business at the moment in Pakistan, you can't expect them that they will behave ethically. Okay, that's a 50-50 chances. Then accused of imposing their culture. So what kind of a culture they have in the country? Like for example, if you have a company who is operating in the UK, they have a different kind of a culture, and if they are operating in Pakistan, they might impose their culture in the Pakistani circumstances. That would be again the disadvantages of the host country. The last thing is the free trade and the protection. Free trade and the protection, like there is no tariffs on your trades. So what are the advantages of the free trade? Allow countries to benefits from the specialization, increase the customer choices, create new business opportunities. And if you talk about the disadvantages, the exploitation of the worker and the environment, more tariffs, income inequality worsen. Protection mean involve the use of the trade barriers by the government to restrict the international market access and competition. Reason for the protection: in patent industry, the industries which are you can say in an emerging stage, okay, and the sunset industry, the industries who are basically at the end of the ending stages, okay, or you can say they are going to slump or they are at the declining stages. What you have to do, the government will try whenever government make sure that government is going to protect them. These are the businesses which can create a burden, okay. They some business you need to eliminate them from the economy, but because of the protection element, the government is protecting them as well. The last thing, the consequences of the protection: when you are going to protect, they restrict the customer choices, they restrict the new revenue and employment opportunities, they restrict new revenue and employment opportunities in that particular country. So that was the globalization, free trade and